There is things as simple as, hey, do you have a yoke steering or a regular steering? They said, well, should we even build a steering? And then I saw this interview where Elon said the best steering out there was made by Mercedes. So they took the Mercedes's Lego block and they put it in Tesla. Today, Pritesh Damani and I are talking about one specific thing that we left off with last time, which has got to do with this idea of Lego blocks. So if you did not listen to our last episode on what the heck is a super app, we finished with this idea of a Lego block, that every super app, however you build it, has got to do with Lego blocks, because it all just can't happen magically on one moment. So in this episode, Pritesh and I are going to break down the idea of Lego blocks and how Lego blocks can build not only a super app, but a super business. Pritesh, I really want to dig into this because I think that as soon as people understand this idea of Lego blocks, I think it gives them a lot of safety, that you don't have to build everything at the same time. Do you feel that same way when you design things?
Yeah, exactly. Not only it gives you a sense of safety, but it also gives you a sense of accomplishment, right? If you are on this never-ending journey where you're building on something and like you can't like see accomplishments along the way, the sense of risk compounds in your mind, right? And then you're like, what happens if it like doesn't work? Right? I've seen a lot of companies try to do like this really big vision. Like in fact, like my first startup that I was trying to do, it was going to be like the LinkedIn for sports. And I was just like, but I was 26 or something. And like, I just wanted to like build a great startup. And now I realize like how big that mistake was. Like I should have like started with like something really, really small and just perfected it and nailed the market and then add the next block, right? So no, I agree with you. Like I think the reduction of risk and smaller milestones feel more achievable than trying to do like this big shebang.
What do you think about on the team, especially when, we have a big product engineering team at Real and you see this every day. What do you think about dopamine hits when you actually hit those metrics and it feels like, when you talk about accomplishment, do you think the dopamine hits of accomplishing and building these Lego blocks are helpful for the team?
So what we do for dopamine hits is we do a couple things. Yes. So almost every human being I know wants to bring some sort of value to this world, right? They want to feel accomplished. They wake up every morning, they want to have a sense of purpose. Same thing with engineers, same thing with product people, same thing with sales, marketing, everything, right? So what we do, at least on the engineering side, a Lego block is well defined and the launch is a celebration, right? So we celebrate that launch, but then we also celebrate the success of it. So we never build a Lego block without defining what the success looks like. So let me give you an example. We launched Leo 2.0. We had internal metrics on what would happen post Leo 2.0. So say we are getting 300 questions a day today. Is it going to get to 900, 1200, 600? What do we expect? I expected 900, right? And based on what you would ask, right? Based on our transaction volume, total logins that the agents are doing, let's have a reasonable expectation. Should the agent ask one question to Leo about one transaction in the lifetime of the transaction? I think that's a very reasonable start, right? And that's the second dopamine hit, is when your dashboards, like your business intelligence platform, starts showing you that it's actually working. That's the biggest dopamine hit for product people. And for engineers, it's a sense of gratification that they are building something that's meaningfully used and it works, right? For product people, good product people will want to see that dopamine hit. Most product people are happy with the launch.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, you talked about this, and I think this will go to the heart of the story. I've never even shared this with you. I remember my first company, and we had raised some money. I built a board of directors, which was an advisory board at that time. And it was a small company, and I'd never done a board meeting. And I went to our chairman of the board, or our lead investor, and I asked him. His name is Joe Hanauer, by the way, super smart guy. He used to be the chairman of CBRE, chairman of Coldwell Banker, super smart guy. He lives here in Laguna Beach, and I said, "Hey Joe, how do I prepare for this board meeting?" And then Joe tells me, "Oh, Sharran, don't prepare for the board meeting." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "All I want you to do is I want you to bring to the board meeting whatever you use to run the company." That, and you and I both know I didn't have anything to use to run the company. I was running it on pure gut, right? And I think 99% of people are doing that. But that helped me so much, Pritesh, because when he said that to me, I literally went back and thought, wow, what am I using to run this business? And then I put together a dashboard and I said, wow, if I'm using this to run this business, they don't have to tell me about my business. Even if they gave me feedback on whether my dashboard was right, whether I was looking at the right things, that itself is huge advice for me overall. And so I show up at this meeting and I give them this dashboard and they're like, oh, wow, this is great. I look like you're looking at these three things. Why don't you add these other things to the dashboard? Now it became this collaborative artifact of what we were collaborating on, which I think is super powerful. And I'm going somewhere with this. And where I'm going with this is that started this thinking around, hey, how do I get dashboard first? Because what you talked about, the power is if you set up the dashboard first and then something gets turned on, maybe sales gets turned on, usage gets turned on, you then start to see the dashboard light up. And that is super, super powerful, right? And you did something with the team really powerfully, which is when you launched our first version of Leo and the AI tool, you set up a dashboard first and you're like, hey, I have no idea how this is going to work. Maybe you could talk about that, because I think that a lot of people think creation of the product is the Lego block, but they don't realize the dashboard's a really important part of the Lego block too.
Yeah, I think like this is like the least talked about thing in product and engineering is that people always think about building. And sometimes they ask, why are we building, right? But they never say, how are we going to measure the success of what we're building, right? And oftentimes like, yeah, the end result is dollars, right? But not everything is like directly connected to an outcome like sales or dollars, right? So you're justifying all these features that are getting launched. And if it is not directly connected to dollars, if it's not an attraction feature, which can be translated to a dollar amount, then how do you justify the cost of the investment that you put into building this feature, right? So now there's a couple of things. One is like what you talk about all the time, joy. Does this increase joy on the agent's use, right? And that can be not measured with data, but like can be measured by like just, talking to people and stuff like that. But often, maybe I'm, now that I'm rethinking it could be measured by data, because like data just shows like usage and repeat usage equals to joy. And then we set up these dashboards saying, okay, if it is successful, sometimes you know what success looks like, and sometimes you just like, I hope it rockets, right? And with Leo, we knew it was going to be useful, but we wanted to like track across the whole agent database, how quickly is it going to get adopted? And if it's not getting adopted, then we still believed in the vision. What do we have to do to get it adopted? Literally in extreme scenario would be block the whole screen and tell them, press this button and ask a question. And until you do that, we are not letting you go, right? Because we have total user attention, because our agents have to use our software to do business. So it's an extreme privilege to be in that situation, right? Because it's not an optional software, right? So with Leo, when we lit it up, I am 100% sure it was the most successful feature launch we've ever done, right? Because overnight, it was like this rocket that happened, right? And it's still rising. We're in a down market right now. So obviously, agents are not opening our app if they don't have a deal. Like, there's not much to do. They open the app for Real Academy. They open the app for other things, but Leo is more useful on a day-to-day basis, right? So, but it's still one of the fastest used features. So when we did Leo 2.0, we had the same mindset. It's like, okay, with AI, it's tricky. People know what it can do for you, but it puts you in a weird spot. It says, you open up the screen and most people don't know how to ask a question. It's weird, right? So go back to the traditional real estate use case 101, write me a listing presentation. Great. That's the easiest question to ask and is the most natural question to ask. But you say, hey, this bot can answer any question you want. And you can see, I've seen it live. People just stumble. They don't know what to ask.
Yeah. Well, you said something there that I want to capture, which I think will be very beneficial for folks, no matter what industry that they're in. I was in a marketing mastermind, and they talked about this idea called attention ratio. An attention ratio, essentially, the numerator is a thing that you want them to do, the one thing, and the denominator is all the other things that are prevalent in the environment. So when you said, hey, if we have a piece of AI on our screen and someone was to log in and utilize this piece of AI, well, they're logging into this piece of AI. There's like 9 menus on the left-hand bar. There's like 14 things on the main screen, and then there's this AI on the top. So my attention ratio is 1/24. And you said something super powerful. You said, hey, if I have to force usage, I blank everything out and I only give them one option. And that is 1-to-1, right? A lot of people from a marketing perspective think, again, I want to go back to this idea of Lego blocks. They think that the more Lego blocks I have, the better it is from a marketing perspective. But it's not. Even if you take something as simple as a advertising on a bus bench, which is strange, by the way. Like, I don't know why people still do that. There's this great joke that I heard on Ellen the other day. She says, I'm unsure why real estate agents advertise on bus benches because the only people taking the bus don't have enough money to buy a house. Like, it was like hilarious to me, right? But the idea on this is, again, if you have 7 things on the bus bench, including your photo, 96 things about your bio, your 6 designations, your big Realtor R logo, your phone number, your email address, and a QR code, like, the attention ratio is so broken down. So sometimes so from a marketing perspective, every single person right now should be evaluating their marketing where you're saying, oh my gosh, what is the attention ratio of my marketing? And if you can actually get as close to 100% on your marketing, like, you will get a lot more response. So when people say, oh, I want to send out a newsletter with 96 things in it, the attention ratio is completely fragmented. But if you say, click this button, then you know that there's only one thing to be done. So I even see that as a very functional Lego block.
I 100% agree. And I think like a lot of people would get a cringe on when we say, I'm going to block the whole screen. But like you said, it's 1-to-1 ratio. So if you truly be like, you don't have to do it all the time, but you got to get attention. And you get attention when you reduce the distraction, right? So,
but this Lego block concept, I think I would love for people to understand, because I want to talk about a couple of like live examples in the real world. And the one thing I was thinking about, and I'm curious about your perspective on this, is Tesla. Tesla feels, no one thinks about Tesla and the building of Tesla as a Lego block. This is my second Tesla that I own. I love Tesla. I don't think I'm going to buy another car. I've not even thought about it. And until I was listening to a recent documentary, Pritesh, I didn't realize the amount of Lego block thinking that went into a Tesla. The reason why I heard why Elon wanted as many Teslas on the road early on was there was a piece of software that was continuously mapping the roads. And so I was wondering, well, why is the mapping important? Well, it's important because when you have self-driving capability, you have real live data of someone that is driven on the road that has mapped these roads. There is things as simple as, hey, do you have a yoke steering or a regular steering? They said, well, should we even build a steering? And then I saw this interview where Elon said the best steering out there was made by Mercedes. So they took the Mercedes' Lego block and they put it in Tesla. And I started seeing small versions of these happen where the over-the-air updates that your car could get. I mean, you and I, when we started driving, like when I started driving, gas in the US was $1, which is crazy, right? But that shows that at that time, no one ever thought that you could do an over-the-air update for anything. But as soon as they built the over-the-air update technology, now they could keep pushing over-the-air updates. So it seems like there's a Lego block on mapping the roads. It seems like there's a Lego block on using someone else's Lego block on your car. Seems like there's someone else's Lego block on figuring out the over-the-air updates. And I think when we are open to this idea of Lego blocks, you start to see it in the biggest companies and biggest businesses out there. But we just think they just turned up overnight, but they don't realize that they're not only are they successful because of their Lego blocks, I think the Lego blocks also give them a moat in a lot of ways.
The moat is the key, is an extreme key. So every Lego block, you have 2 choices: build, buy, actually 3 choices: build, buy, or rent.
Hey.
Right. So we go through this mindset. We go, okay, if we're going to build, what is the moat? Why should we build this and not just rent it? Because most likely building is more expensive.
Yeah.
Right. So if, let's take batteries as an example and XAI as an example for Elon in general, zoom out and let's talk about Elon. So all the battery technology, early on battery technology that was built around to support Teslas is now a battery wall on your house, pushing power back to the grid with a solar panel on your roof.
Yeah.
Which is also run by Tesla, right? And take it a step further, the XAI, that's like the new AI technology. It's inevitable that it's going to get plumbed into all of this ecosystem. Now, two other companies that only in the United States, in my mind, two other companies have this data, the mapping data. And they're invisible Lego blocks, right? Apple and Google. They are on your phone. They're always tracking your location and your speed of travel. That's the reason why they have the most accurate traffic data, right? So even if you're not using your mapping software, your Apple location is tracking, and the speed at which you're moving knows whether it's a bike, a car, or you're walking.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why those red lines light up.
Yeah. So this brings me to like, maybe between your and my experience talking to agents, if you're a real estate agent, if you're a real estate entrepreneur, if you're a mortgage broker, if you're running a real estate company, what does this mean for you? What does building Lego blocks mean for you? So I'll give you maybe we can talk through what Lego blocks, instead of saying, what is my business plan for next year? Think about, hey, what Lego blocks can I add to my business for next year that I can continuously build on top of? So you know that suddenly you look back over the last 5 years and you've built so many Lego blocks that you can monetize or efficientize in so many ways, right? The one super low hanging fruit, Pritesh, that I see for most agents and most salespeople in general is having the Lego block of email marketing in their business, and not let me send out 1 or 2 newsletters a month, because we know that the average consumer receives 97 emails a day. That means over a 15-day period, they get 1,500 emails on average. And if you're in the real estate business or you're in a sales business and you're sending out 1 email, you're 1 out of 1,500 emails. So you got to do more. The reason we don't do more is because we don't have the workflow to do more. So if you had the ability to send out weekly email marketing and you did it in a thoughtful way, then when you got a listing, you can just plug it into that Lego block. If you wanted to find a buyer, you can plug it into that Lego block. If the rates change, you can plug it into that system. And the reason why a lot of people, I think, struggle is that once they don't have the Lego block, in this case, which is a delivery system of messaging, they can't do anything. And so they get bummed that, oh my gosh, I have this knowledge to share or this video to share or what have you, but I don't have a distribution channel for it. So this distribution channel Lego block is so important for an agent. If you're a real estate agent anywhere in the world, and if all you did was build a little distribution channel, maybe in text messaging, maybe in email, maybe you have a huge social media thing, as long as this distribution Lego block is really powerful, because what big brands like the Ryan Serhants or the people on TV have done is that they've created so much distribution for themselves. That Lego block is not a tiny Lego block anymore. It is a big brick, and they can do so much with it. So I don't know, as you think about a real estate business or a sales business or an operating business, do you see any other foundational Lego blocks that if people had in their business, they would do better with?
So I'll come back to that and I'll answer that question. But I want to go back to your example of like what would be a Lego block, right? If I was a real estate agent, full-time real estate agent, or a mortgage LO, right? I would zoom out, right? Zoom out on a day and zoom out on a week and then zoom out on a month. Write down every day the things I did, right? For 30 straight days. What are all the things I did and how long it took me, right? You are going to find commonalities, right? You're going to find commonalities, and you're going to find total time spent doing those things, right? Take the most expensive time is the one thing you don't get back. The only thing you can never get back is time, right? So we should use that as the most expensive or the most important commodity we have, right? So I would say take that and try to figure out how to make it a Lego block. If that block is too big, split it into multiple pieces, and you will start getting time to make the other Lego block.
Give us an example on that.
I mean, one of the examples that is literally the email example, right, that you are using. Is like, okay, most people spend a lot of time doing email, right? Another example would be social media activity, right? Schedule posts. If you have a system where you're saying, okay, between 9 and 10 every day, all I do is social stuff, then like find some scheduling software and like just line up, sit down for like 3 hours and line up your whole week.
Yeah.
right? That would be an operational Lego block in many ways, right? Or if you find yourself running ads, or if you find yourself looking at reports, and drilling reports takes time. Build a Lego block to just email the report to you. So you're just looking at the result and not clicking around buttons. So generally speaking, when you go to a dashboard, you log in, you set up your filters, and you get to see the report, and then you drill more, and like you get the bottom line. You find yourself doing this thing over and over again on a daily basis. Most of these softwares have a pre-filtered something that will just send you a daily report.
Yeah.
Right. We use this kind of stuff internally, right? Like every morning we get a report, right? That's an efficiency Lego block in many ways. Like you built this and you sit on top of it. So now if you are getting this email on a daily basis, now you can do something that the minutes you saved, now you can do something meaningful with it.
Yeah. I think the big lesson for us here is, and coming off the last conversation, was asking this question about, I don't just need a business plan. I just don't need to be thinking about my next project. I need to be thinking about this Lego block as an asset. I really need to be thinking about how can I add more Lego blocks to my world, because now I can pick it up and do something else with it. Now I can pick it up just like our children pick up the Lego blocks and build some other structure. They're very versatile. So not only is the Lego block a fundamental component for building a super app, a Lego block is also a fundamental component for actually building a super business.